So my name is Rachel and I'm here today to do my wrap up for the month of September. So just to mention, I am downstairs in my room just because it's Sunday and I'm lazy and I want to be in bed all day. So I just decided to film this while I'm sat on my bed, because why not? And I was gonna do another video after this where I wanted to be comfy. So this is where I am. Okay, so in the month of September I've read 9 books and I've been pretty happy with my reading month. It's been pretty good. So I'm gonna talk about that today. I normally start with my lowest rated and go up, but I feel like pretty much everything has had a high rating this month. So I'm not gonna do like that. I'm just gonna do it in the order that I've read things because that seems easier to me. I just wear glasses on because my eyes are hurting because I keep reading too much. Anyway, so the first book that I read this month was Zen and the Art of Writing by Ray Bradbury. So one thing that I do when I'm writing is I like reading something short or watching a YouTube video about writing to like motivate me for my writing session. It works really well for me. Before this I was using a book called Pep Talks for Writers, but I decided to start reading this one as well and it was going well. I was managing to read just one essay before every writing session, but then it's just like, it's too good. It's so good. And then I just ended up reading it until it was finished. So this is basically a collection of Ray Bradbury's essays on creativity and on writing and on his sort of like the way he develops writing ideas and the way he writes, the way he develops his short stories and all that sort of stuff. So there are essays like How to Feed and Keep Amused, The Joy of Writing, Investing Dimes, Fahrenheit 451. There's lots of different things in here and these essays are the most motivating things that I have found as well. I do have a lot of writing books that I do this with, but this and On Writing by Stephen King are definitely the most motivating books I've read about writing so far. So would highly recommend this one and I gave it 5 stars and it was just so good. I definitely want to reread this again. So that was amazing. Would highly recommend that one. Then the next thing I picked up was a surprise. I didn't really know I was going to read it and then I just decided to pick it up and it was so good. Like I was shocked by how much I enjoyed it because I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much, and that is The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. So this is about a man who is a fisherman. He is on the older side of life. I don't really know how old he's supposed to be, but he's painted as like a bit older than the other characters. And he hasn't caught anything for a really long time. We follow him as he goes out on one of his fishing expeditions to try and get a fish, and he manages to hook a big fish and then the story like continues from there. What I loved about this book, I was talking to my girlfriend about it and I was just like trying to put into words what it was. I think the thing is, I don't give a shit about fishing. Or actually, like on the opposite side, I do give a shit about fishing. I don't like fishing. I'm a vegetarian and I'm not really a big fan of any sort of thing like that. So I shouldn't have liked this book. This book shouldn't have really like struck a chord with me and been as like important to me as it was. Like it's really standing out as like a book that I loved this month, and I've read some amazing books this month to be fair, but this was amazing. And I think the reason for that is Ernest Hemingway's writing style and the way that he writes. He just makes you care. And we have this man who is so down and out on his luck but so nice, and he isn't angry, he doesn't hate people like who are successful around him. He just keeps on pushing himself to achieve sort of thing. And oh my god, it's just amazing, and the ending is just, oh my god, the feelings that I had reading the end of this book were insane. This is just such a brilliant book, and the fact that it is 99 pages, this isn't even 100 pages long, and it just evoked such a profound effect in me. It just, oh, I had so many feelings reading this book, and it is just fantastic. I would highly recommend this book, especially if you're like scared of classics or anything like that. This is a really good book to pick up because it's short. The writing isn't even like small, like it's just a very short book, and we follow a really small handful of characters, and because it's so concentrated on this one main character, you always know what's going on. And so yeah, this is just This is amazing. This is such a good book. Anyway, yeah, had feelings, loved this book. This was really, really good. I need to pick up more Hemingway now. I've never actually had anything by Hemingway. I don't know why, because he is such like a classic author that people discuss, and normally I do try and pick up books like that. But I'd never picked up anything by him before, like, as in I don't even own any of his other books, and I only picked this up like 2 months ago. So I'm really glad that I did pick it up. I'm glad that I read it. I'm glad I enjoyed it so much, and I definitely need to pick up some more Hemingway. If you have read any Hemingway, comment down below which ones you've read and whether they were good and stuff, because I don't really know where to go after this. I know there's, I think it's called For Whom the Bell Tolls, but I'm like confused in my head because I know that's a Metallica song. So I don't know if I'm thinking of the right thing, but I feel like it is called that. Anyway, yeah, let me know. Next thing that I've read this month, what was the next? I think next was when I finished Sense and Sensibility. So Sense and Sensibility I read throughout the month of August, and I finished it within the first like 3 or 4 days of September. So I'm not really going to talk about it. I have done a full review of Sense and Sensibility, so I will link that somewhere around here. And then the next book that I've read, same story, was Pride and Prejudice. I reread this, I gave it 5 stars, it was amazing, and I also filmed a full review of this that I just put up this morning, so I will link that one also around here. So yeah, Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility, read both of those. Been really hitting through the major literary works this month apparently. Now on to the less major literary works. I reread 3 books that finished a series. So in, I don't know what it was, but I feel like it's since I've come to Switzerland, I was homesick and I missed my books from home, and I missed the things that I used to read when I was a teenager. And I really wanted to read something like that again, because the only thing I really reread from when I was a teenager is I reread Harry Potter a lot. But yeah, I really wanted to reread something, and I read Hush Hush a few months ago by Becca Fitzpatrick, and I just used to be so in love with that book and so in love with the love interest in that book. And then I read it, and then yeah, I just carried on, didn't really think anything of it. And then this month I saw a video and someone mentioned the second book, Crescendo, and I was like, oh yeah, there's 3 other books that I could have carried on rereading. So I read all of those this month. I listened to them on audiobook, which was just really fun, and I just listened to them so fast. I was listening to them all the time. Like, the kids that I look after here listen to audiobooks a lot. They have these like Die drei Fragezeichen Kids audiobooks here, and they love them. So I kept putting them on the speaker system in the house, and then I'd have earphones in so I could listen to my audiobook while we did jigsaws, which is just so fun. So yeah, I read Crescendo, Silence and Finale, all by Becca Fitzpatrick, and it was just so lovely. I didn't rate it because I just don't think you can rate things like that. It's just a book that I loved as a kid, and I read more for the experience of me rereading it than I read for like any sort of literary shit. That was amazing, and I really loved rereading it, and it was so fun. While I was rereading them audiobooks, I had a physical book that I was also reading and was blown away by. It was absolutely not what I was expecting when I picked this book up, and that is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. So when I picked up this book, I'd heard I knew the synopsis and things. I'd heard a little bit about it, and I'd heard that it's about a girl and her sister, and they've been accused of murder and no one wants to talk to them. They live in this house up on the hill with their family, and that's what I knew. So like, I had this sort of image going into it. These like very proper people who had this big family, and that there'd probably be someone in the family who was shrouded in mystery, and slowly through the book they would not be unveiled as the killer, and that we'd get like someone on the side who ended up being a killer, and we'd be like, oh my god, that like, I had that full expectation going into this book. Absolutely not the case. This was shocking. Oh my god, we have such unreliable narrators. We have just the best representations of like sort of like mental illness, but just like a mind in general of somebody who isn't within like regular society, as in like someone who doesn't go to school with other kids, and someone who doesn't get to do all the other things that people do and interact with people a lot. That was how I felt with Merricat, who is one of the sisters, and just oh, just hearing about her and her thoughts and everything like that was just out of this world. Like, it was so well written. I loved this book. I loved it so much. I loved all of the characters. I loved the two sisters. I loved Uncle Julian. I mean, I didn't love the cousin who came, but I did like highly appreciate him as a character and a plot device. I was so shocked. If you've read this book, you probably know the thing that shocked me. There is like an event that happens about 3/4 of the way through the book that just comes out of nowhere, absolute nowhere. And there's just, it's like, we used to study it in psychology about social events and how if people are part of groups and they lose their individuality, that they will behave very differently. And it was like seeing that happen, like just seeing it played out, like that happened. And I was just like, holy shit, and it just shocked me so much. And then towards the end we have some like mysteries unveiled, and they were also shocking. Like, everything was shocking, and I didn't see anything in this book coming, and I loved it so much. I love the ending. I love the way that we're left with the sisters and with the town and how we understand the relationship between them to be. This is so good. I'm really trying not to spoil it, because if you haven't read this book, you should know nothing about it and you should just read it and just love it, especially because it's nearly Halloween. Like, this is the perfect book to read at Halloween. This is so good. So this, I don't know if this is my favourite book of the month. Like, I've had so many good books. Like, Zen and the Art of Writing was amazing. Pride and Prejudice was obviously amazing. The Old Man and the Sea was amazing. Reading the books that I used to love as a kid were amazing. Reading this was amazing. It's been an overwhelming reading month, to be honest. So this is so phenomenal. If you haven't read this book, you should just read it. It's so good. I really want to read it again, actually. One of the things is that while I was reading it, I was kind of doing other things, and you know when you like spread pretty thin. So I listen to audiobooks before I go to sleep at night, and I read for about half an hour, 45 minutes in the morning when I wake up. Other than that, any other reading I do is extra reading. It's not like that. They're my only like fixed times that I read in a day, and I found that I didn't get a lot of extra reading time outside of this because I was like trying to write, and I had the kids a lot and doing all this stuff, and that I do feel like that hampered my reading experience. Even though I love this so much, I can't imagine it being better. But I do think that if I had had more free time, I would have just sat and read this front to back, like just finished it. So I do want to read it again because it's so good, and I would really recommend this book. Okay, and then the last thing that I read is the thing that I just finished about half an hour ago. I've been listening to Eleanor and Park on audiobook for the last few days. I have never read Eleanor and Park before. I have read Carry On, and I've read a little like Kindred Spirits thing that came out for World Book Day. So I've read both of those, and I've wanted to read Eleanor and Park for a while, and that is another book where I had a really specific conceived idea of what that was before I went into it. Like, in my head, these were two characters who were like suicidal and ended up finding each other and it kind of bringing them out of it. I don't know where I got that from because it doesn't say that anywhere. It's not on the back of it, so I don't know where I got it. I ended up giving Eleanor Park 3.5 stars. I think it would have been 4 stars if I hadn't read the last like 20 pages. I just found that ending really disappointing, and I didn't really know why it happened, or like any of that whole, like, I just don't really know what was going on there. But I did really enjoy the book as a whole. I enjoyed the relationship. There was a lot of representation in it. We have Korean character, Korean American character. We have a character with self-esteem issues who thinks she's really fat. We just had like a few different people in it.